everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Technology Simplified. Today we're going to talk about mobile device management with John Neibel from Mirrored Storage.
So kind of the next thing that I literally am talking to IT directors and technology folks, and so I literally would ask, what are you working on right now?
Yeah.
What next big project are you working on that's not maybe an ERP rollout or migrating to cloud or redoing email? And one of the common themes that I see, and the reason I see it is because I see, iPads and tablets and iPhones, and there's little things called Blackberries that are making a comeback.
Right.
Maybe, right? But people want to use those. They got them for Christmas. This is a great time of year.
That's right.
They got them for Christmas. They bring it in and they say, "Can you make this work with my email?"
Right.
And sync my calendar to it, and I want want to have access to company data while I'm not here.
Right.
So how do I do all that? And literally the IT guys will say, if it's not the CEO, the answer is no.
Right.
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 We gave you a BlackBerry. I'm sorry, you don't like it. You want to use your iPhone, but if you want access to corporate stuff, you've got to use a standard.
Right.
Well, that's not flying anymore because the CEOs aren't coming in saying, I'd really like the new BlackBerry because it's really cool. No one's doing that, right? They want other devices. Doctors are a prime candidate. They want the iPads.
Right.
They want to be able to walk through. If they've electronic records management, they want the charts on that.
That's right. That's right.
The problem is that those devices have the concept of one user, not multiple users, and they have no security built in.
Right.
Right. So I tell a funny story about my brother works at a large consulting company, and he had a client, and the client said, "We want to roll out iPads and iPhones to our businesses across the country, so the managers can walk around the store managing, and the people can be accessing things while they're walking around."
Right.
And so they called Apple and they said, "We want you to put security on these and enforce rules and regulations on them and who can access what." And Apple folks laughed. They said, "We sell a consumer device to consumers. If they happen to bring it to work,
it's
not our issue."
Right. Right.
So kind of what that's called is the MDM, mobile device management.
Right.
So how do I take mobile devices and manage those? And this is not a new thing, right? Laptops, Blackberries.
Because you're really describing the entire conversation of bring your own device.
Exactly.
Right? BYOD, which is a hot topic in all these organizations, because especially the bigger the organization is, they spent years building a network, right? And the internet came along and they built a network, and then they built all these shields to prevent anybody from the outside getting onto the network, right? And securing it and shielding it and securing it, and then all of a sudden, over the last 5 years, we've now destroyed that entire thing by BYOD. So they're bringing their own devices now.
And businesses, especially over the last 3 years, it's not just nice to have. It's rolling out a new set of laptops to everybody is a very expensive, time-consuming from a configuration as well as cost. And if someone's willing to spend $800 or $400 on a device, and they want to use it at work, that's actually cheaper from a business perspective. And this funny, I worked for a company 15 years ago that kind of had that BYOD. And they said, if you want a laptop, buy it yourself. Right. And so it was a cost thing. Well, then when people would leave, they would say, well, bring your device by the IT guy's desk and give it to him for a day so he can wipe it.
Exactly. Right.
That never happened, right? So they had a problem, and that problem still exists in spades now with BYOD because you're loading corporate assets onto your device.
That's right.
And if your employer is paying for your cell phone or a portion of your cell phone or your data plan, they have the right to be able to pull stuff off. And so that's the MDM space that I'm working at right now is a software technology. So it's not hardware based. It's not built into the switches that people have, which is very important. It's a software app that loads onto the device for employees, business-owned device or employee-owned devices, and that's true from the iPhones through the MacBook Pros. Also through the Blackberries, Android through the tablets, and all the way to the PCs. So be able to have people not bring their own device to work, but then you can automatically onboard them. Someone says, you're coming to work, instead of provisioning you a laptop like they would, and it would take a week. They say, well, once your email address is set up, let's go ahead and provision your device to work. So you can actually send them an email. It has a QR code in it. They snap a picture with their phone of the QR code,
Yeah.
which automatically downloads the software with
Right.
their user ID, and they literally just type in their password on their device.
Okay.
That device is now enabled. Now, then from a corporate standpoint, you have policies. So just like you have security
Right.
policies
Right.
and profiles of who can access what, where, and how, same thing is true in mobile device management.
Right.
You have HR can access this, this, and this.
Okay.
Field sales can access this, this, and this. And you can do some enforcement things to help save money from a CFO standpoint.
Yeah.
You want to save money data plan? Best way to do it, make people use the Wi-Fi when they're at home and work when the Wi-Fi is enabled. So predefine all the work Wi-Fis
Okay.
with passwords
Right.
built into the phone automatically.
Okay.
When they leave, wipe it all away.
Okay.
Wipe the email out, wipe the VPN technology, wipe that. The applications you may have loaded on there for
Right.
them, had those removed all the way.
So how does that work? How are you wiping just the work information and leaving the other stuff?
Yeah.
The device has a concept of this email is your Gmail.
Okay.
And this email is your corporate email.
Right.
So it's got a segregation there.
Okay.
Likewise, there's a document management. So if you want to distribute documents, like say, you distribute the price book to your field sales force. So
Right.
they've got something in their hand that someone asks how much is that, they can look it up. Well, you want to also be able to pull that back when they leave, but leave their kids'
Okay.
pictures and their iTunes and all that kind
Right.
of stuff. So you can kind of control what you wipe out when you do a wipe of company data.
Right.
You can also wipe if someone loses a device and they go, gosh, I got my kids' birth certificates on there
Yeah.
and ID numbers and stuff. Where you can actually either lock the device, wipe the device, do a factory reset, maybe all the above. You can literally turn it into an electronic brick.
Okay.
Right. You lock
Okay.
it so that it's
Yeah.
of no use to anybody except for taking it apart and reusing the parts
Yeah.
with other
Well,
things.
and here's why I asked, because I attended a forum on BYOD, small forum with about 10 CIOs in the area, and they're mostly large companies. And like you said, part of what the thing was is that they did, most large companies are doing, we're going to pay a portion of your laptop, and we're going to pay a portion of your phone, and then you go get whatever laptop you want, and you get whatever phone you want, and you take care of the support on it. But by signing that contract that says we'll take a portion of the phone, they install the software that just wipes the device. So the employee leaves, they wipe the device, personal and work information, just the entire thing. And so they when they sign to get the money back from the phone, it says they have the right to wipe everything on the device. The employee kind of signs that. Now, I think the employees are, as you don't read the legalese of anything anymore any day. You just sign it to get your check, and you get it, and then all of a sudden you leave the company, and there's your picture's gone.
But that's I worked at TI years ago, and they had a thing that said if you develop anything on nights and weekends, we own the intellectual property.
That's right. They own the rights to it.
But that didn't happen all the time.
Right.
There, people still did stuff and
Right.
then left the company.
Right.
And it's up to TI to try to prove whether you were
Right.
running it on weekends and evenings on
Right.
your own personal time, and then there's a whole other thing. But
Yeah.
when you're in the field
Right.
sales force, if it's a software application they're talking about wiping, or is it someone grab the device and go down to the factory reset and hit the button on the device and give it back to you?
Yeah.
If someone's leaving, sometimes you don't always see those devices again.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Having a
That's
software
right.
component
Yeah.
that you can do something.
Yeah.
For instance, there's also the ability to say, if someone removes that application from their device,
Yeah.
one of the rules you can say is lock the device, wipe all the corporate data, so you can really get down to the nitty gritty on,
Right.
on controlling that device. So if someone removes that application on purpose or,
Right.
or an accident, you can wipe
Do
the
that.
device.
Well, BlackBerry's now, they got the BlackBerry 10. You've seen that? It looks like the iPhone.
Yeah, and it's like IBM announces a year before it's available, but anyway.
Right. And they changed their name though. Come on, they changed their name from RIM to BlackBerry.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
Right? They're really trying to push.
Well, and that's funny
push hard.
because a lot of the things that I'm talking about, folks that are
Yeah.
watching this might say, "Gosh, this is a lot like BlackBerry Enterprise Server."
Right.
And it's true. It is.
Right.
It's a lot like BlackBerry Enterprise Server.
Yeah.
The problem is, exaggerate here, of the 10 companies that actually implemented BlackBerry Enterprise Server with all
Right.
the features and functions.
Right.
They did so just in time for the iPhones to take off 6 years ago.
Right. And Android devices.
Yeah,
Now,
Android, exactly.
and iPhone have dominated the market. Microsoft's kind of fallen by the wayside. BlackBerry's just trying to hold on. I think for BlackBerry, it's like we got to get this BlackBerry 10 out, or we're gone, right?
Yeah,
And,
right.
and so it looks like an iPhone now. Finally they figured out hey, this iPhone thing has some legs.
But it's technology, so there would be
Yeah.
leaps, right? The
Right.
iPhone, people are already talking about,
Right.
the Samsung Galaxy 2 is
That's
looking
right.
a lot better than the iPhone,
Yeah.
and people were,
Yeah.
go in that direction, and people at the end of their 2-year contract with their provider,
Galaxy 3.
they have an option to change all the time, change. So you go to the next best. I love the commercial of the people sitting in line for the iPhone 5.
Oh, right.
And the people are using another
right. They're using that
device.
Samsung. They like to do that.
They put the very near functionality. And
I like that. I like when they say in that commercial, they're like, and they move the headphone jack from the top to the bottom. What are we gonna do? Right?
Exactly.
Oh, they kind of like that's a feature, right?
Exactly.
Sometimes they get that, but yeah, it's an interesting kind of paradigm because. Here, and they bring me into those CIO meetings just because I'm the opposite of everybody else in the meeting, right? Like, we pay for laptops and phones, right? We don't have office phones. They don't exist here. You only have cell phone.
Right.
And because there's no need for us to have office phones anymore. I mean, everybody has their cell phone. I pay for their cell phone.
You could spend extra money to have a phone that rings simultaneously to their cell phone.
Well, we do. What we do have is we have an 800 number.
Okay.
So we have an 800 number that we can then put that in rotation to terminate across people's cell phones.
Exactly.
And then finally go to voicemail. So we have that set up, and so we have a dedicated line here that we can call out with an 800 number. They can call in to 800 number, but we just don't have the need for desk phones anymore because we've gotten to the point of, I don't need people to say, oh, well, somebody left me a voicemail. I didn't check my voicemail in the office, right? I remember that all the time, right? And and so. We went to just having laptops. We don't really have desktop computers. We only have laptop computers. And unlike that, we pay and support from here, right? Because these are we do technology work. So, of course, these are our tools, right?
Right.
If you don't have your laptop or you don't have your phone, you can't do work.
Right.
Right? Lindsay, how'd that go? How'd your, when your
Your
phone?
coffee.
How did your, it just keeps going. So tell them about your last iTunes upgrade.
Yeah.
How did that work for your iPhone then?
Yeah, I didn't update and I didn't have a cell phone for the whole afternoon because it completely locked it. So it's a treat.
Yeah.
Isn't it true how we're so dependent on technology now? We can't just have it electronically, so I can get it. You have to have it on your hip.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
in your hand.
Yeah.
All the time.
And when it's dead or goes, it's like you've lost something,
Yeah.
right? And it's a immediate. We have to get up now and drive to the Apple store or the Sprint store or the AT&T
Exactly.
store or whatever store, right? To go get that device fixed immediately because all our business calls are coming in on it. It's key and critical.
You got a funny cell phone company story that they do service on computers, and they kind of migrated to doing cell phones. And they said, we did this much business 2 years ago, and last year we did 10 times that amount of business. And I said, what did you do differently? And they said, we actually took people's phones, they brought their iPhones in or the Android in. We actually pulled the SIM chip out, put it in the exact same device, and gave them a loaner phone.
Yeah, right.
And charged $50 for that.
Right.
And everyone said, do you want that service for $50? And they go, I can't be without my phone for an hour. Yes.
Right.
For
Exactly.
2 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. And it's the craziest thing. I go take my laptop into the Geek Squad, and I say, hey, I've got an issue with it, but can you just leave it with us for a few days? I'm like, no, I cannot leave it for you for a few days. I'm like, I'll go buy another laptop over there. I'll rip the hard drive out of this one and plug it into that one if it's not working, I can't, this is where I do work, right? I can't be without my device for that long at all. Now, it's gotten a little bit easier with the iPad and being able to have multiple devices to go
syncs
for
devices
email and syncs across things. So I think the cloud's kind of covering that up, but it's those key things those loaners would be, that's what you need. I need a loaner laptop with my stuff on it,
Right, already.
Yeah. So how's the mobile device business going? I mean, how do you see, there's got to be a lot of growth in that area.
There's a ton. A lot of companies are thinking about it. Everyone that I talk to, either it's on their bucket list, or they're doing requirements right now, or they've maybe done something like some of the CIOs you talk to.
Right.
They've only done it for one version of the Samsung device.
Right.
So they've not done something that
does
all the devices.
It's a non-elegant solution, and they don't like it right now. I mean, they know it's a limitation on them because, especially wiping the entire device, they kind of almost don't want to say it out loud because they don't want to tell the employees that, well, if this will happen, we'll wipe your entire device because it's an all or nothing thing, right? And the technology in the space hasn't caught up yet with that, and we've had a problem here with our router. One of the things that we did is we had too many connections to the router happening, and we had to look over like, well, why is that? There's only 16 people in the office. Well, there's over 50 connections to of the 60 people are
Right.
generating 50 connections to the router,
'Cause they got
right?
3 devices
And,
apiece,
right, and it
right?
was hung, and we had other hung connections. We had to reboot it, and everybody has 3 to 5 devices, because you're getting on Wi-Fi, but you're getting on your laptop and your iPad and your phone or multiple
Tablet
phones
or-
and
exactly.
multiple tablets and multiple laptops are in there, and so all of a sudden everybody has in this office at least 3 to 5 Wi-Fi connections.
Wow.
And so you think, well, how much bigger is the population network have to span for 100 employees than it did when we all had one physical Cat5 cable running into the back
Exactly.
of our PC, right?
Right, that was it.
Yeah, and
Maybe a
then-
phone line.
Right, and then we got the phone lines, got it, right? And so
Double.
now we got double, and now we've got 3 to 5 per person because all of these devices are coming onto the network as well.
Right.
And you want to, and actually, my kids are big because they got iPods for Christmas, and they now know they're only 9 or 8, but they know exactly what Wi-Fi is, because everywhere
Yeah.
they go now with their iPods, they can only get connection,
When
when
there's
there's
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. So they walk around like, Dad, can we go to your office with you because there's Wi-Fi there, right?
Exactly.
Can we go to Starbucks because we
why
don't go
not?
to business going. I mean, how do you see? There's got to be a lot of growth in that.
Yeah,
area.
there's a ton. A lot of companies are thinking about it. Everyone that I talk to, either it's on their list, the bucket list, or they're doing
Okay.
requirements right now,
Yeah.
or they've maybe done something like some of the CIOs you talk to.
Right.
They've only done it for one version of the Samsung device.
Right,
So they've done
it's-
it. They've not done something
it's
that
a
does all the devices.
It's
and
a
covers.
non-elegant solution, and they don't
Yeah.
like it right now. I mean, they know it's.
When I'm rolling out, does both cellular devices as well as Wi-Fi only devices. So it does
Right.
both, and covers again from the Windows 7 or Windows XP workstation,
Right.
Laptop, all the way through all of the iPhone. Yeah.
So-
Changed to iPhones more? Your business has kind of picked up more, or has that given you kind of?
Yeah, that's a good question, because again, I think I told him at the beginning, I do backup, been doing that for 4 years,
Mhm.
and everybody knows that's not a lovely, sexy thing to do.
It's not sexy.
necessary.
Necessary.
Necessary. I think it's very, very,
Necessary.
very necessary.
Yeah.
But when I literally start talking to companies and partners, and I go, by the way, kind of at the end of 52 minutes into the 1 hour meeting, I go, by the way, I'm rolling out this MDM thing. It's going to cover all the devices, and they'll throw out, well, is it going to cover this? Yeah, that, yeah.
Yeah.
iPhone, yeah. Tablet, yeah. Devices not in the office, yeah. They go, can we keep talking about that? Not that they discount everything I've just done for 50
Yeah.
minutes for
Yeah.
4 years, but they do kind of, because
Right.
it's top of mind, especially
Oh,
right
right.
after Christmas.
Yeah.
Right after Christmas. I mean, I heard a stat that said the day after Christmas a year ago
Yeah.
was the peak of new devices being initialized on cell phone carriers. So
Oh, wow.
tablets and iPods.
Yeah.
And that number was, I think, about 12 million devices
Wow.
were done on the day after Christmas.
Wow.
This past year, from Black Friday
Yeah.
to the end of the year, the low day was 17 million devices.
Wow.
So we had one day over 12
Right.
a year ago.
Yeah.
They had 30 days over 17 million.
Holy cow.
So talk about the number of devices, and
Right. Right.
the people in New York City that can complain about AT&T because there's so many connections.
Oh,
there.
right. California too. Right.
Right. They just probably
Yeah.
doubled
Right.
for Christmas.
Yeah.
So I could play with my MDM thing. And now I have this device, and I'm like going, what can I do with it?
Yeah.
By default, the screen says you want to watch a movie,
Right.
watch a TV program, you want to stream a sports thing. Something I didn't do at home
Right.
from a non-TV device.
Right.
I'm now doing on a regular basis.
Right.
So I'm noticing my computers are network is slow at home, and the
Yeah.
reason is it's me.
Oh, that's right.
My
That's
TV's
right.
running through
Right.
it, and the
Right.
devices, and my kid's device,
Right.
and my phone, and my laptop, and again all these connections, and so I'm probably up to 7 or 8 at home.
Wow.
And that's just the older kid having a device. So I
Yeah.
got 3 more kids to go. So
Right.
I
Right.
got
It's
a
gonna
router
get up there.
upgrade coming.
Right. It is. It is. Watch. They'll be like, I can't get on. Somebody get off. Right. That's when the router upgrade comes.
Yep.
Nice. Well, thanks, John, for taking the time out. Come talk
Thank
to
you.
us today. All right.
Appreciate it.